Assalamu alaikum students, how are you all? Hope you are all are doing well. Today on 9th February, Friday, we are going to discuss the previous topics, which were changing row height, changing column width, inserting new rows and columns, using a formula, using functions, and inserting charts. First of all, recall the concept of what I have told you before about changing row height. I've told you that to change the height of the row, we have to select the specific row or rows like this. I've selected many rows from 5 to 16. These numbers represent the rows and these alphabets represents the columns, as you all know. So for changing row height, we will go to the home tab, this one, and then in the cells group. You all are aware of the cells group. We will select format and then select row height. As I've told you before, the default row height is 15 points. Okay, now if I want to change the row height, I will write, for example, I want to write, alright, now you tell me what is the range of row height points. Recall the concept that I've told you before, that the range of the points is 0 to 409. So I want the row height should be 23. Now you will see the row height is changed. Now we will move forward to our next topic, which is changing column width. As you all know, the number of characters that can be contained in a cell depends on the width of the column. So we can increase or decrease by adding more characters in the cell. Now tell me students, what is the default height width of the column, which is, tell me students, it is 8.43. We will check it by selecting the column or columns by clicking on the column. Let's say I will click the column I like this, and then I will add by going to the cells group and select the format. This is the cell group and this is the home tab. We will go to the home tab and select the cells group, go to the format and change the column width. As you see that the column width is 8.43. It's 8.4. This is the default column width. If I want to change it, and recall the concept that I've told you before, that we can add how many characters in a single column. Recall the concept that how many characters we can add in a single column. We can add 0 to 255 characters. Alright, I will add 82. I will change the size. Now students, you can see that the size of the column is extended because I changed the column width. Now students, you can select other options for the sub menu, as go to the cells group, select format, and you can auto fit column width. Auto fit column width means increases or decreases the column width so that the data completely fills the column. And the next is hide and unhide. दिस वन इज़ ऑटो फिट कि ऑटोमेटिकली वो फिट हो जाएगा. नेक्स्ट इज़ हाइड एंड अनहाइड. इफ़ यू वांट टू हाइड रोज, इफ़ यू वांट टू हाइड कॉलम्स, कि आप यू डोंट वांट इट टू बी द पार्ट ऑफ द सेल्स, सो this is done. We hide the rows. Now if we want to unhide the rows or columns, we can again go to the cells group, select format, select hide and unhide. I will unhide the rows. As you all know that hide allows us to prevent a column or rows from being visible on the worksheet. As you see that I've done this before and the rows was disappeared from the worksheet. Same as for the columns. Now we will select, go to the cells group, select format and check default width. You can change the default width by yourself. Basically the default width is 8.43, but we can change it by selecting the width of your own choice and then click OK, and the standard width will be changed. Now again moving to our next topic, which is inserting new rows and columns. As you all know that we can add rows and columns to a spreadsheet. This feature is useful because we might need to add rows and columns between existing ones. So that what I've told you before, how to select. So students, you now knew that how you can select or insert new row. This is another way, which is you have to select the specific row or a cell, select the insert. If you want to add entire row, one more entire row, you can select it and click OK. So in the 7th row, one row is already added. This procedure will be the same for inserting column width. You can go to the home tab, go to the cells group and then insert sheet columns. You have to select the specific column and then click right, insert, and it is already inserted. Now moving to our next topic, which is using a formula. I've told you before that what we want to use in formula is because we want to make sense of numerical data. We do this in a number of ways, such as I've told you before that addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. We can also compare numbers and calculate averages. So we want to, if we want to add the two numbers or if we want to add more than two numbers, a formula is entered in the formula bar for this purpose. Students, that what I have told you before is it always begins with an equal sign. You have to go to the formula bar. This is formula bar. Start your calculation with an equal sign. You have to add equal sign first. So let's say I want to add the data in row 10 and in the column D. So if I selected the specific cell, which is D10, I want to add the numbers in D10 with the number C8, with the number C8. Now students, I am entering a formula in the formula bar. This is the formula. This is an example of a student whose name is Ahsan. His English marks, his maths marks, his science, his SST marks, and in computer sciences marks. I want to add these marks. I've written C4, C4, D4, E4, and F4, and G4. I've written all the marks and find its total, which is 262. Which is 262. This is an example of entering a formula in a formula bar. Now let's move to another topic, which is using functions. So in the previous example, we had to calculate the total for 5 cells in a row. Students, tell me what would happen if we had to add up the values in 50 cells. Our formula would become too lengthy. Yes, this formula will become too lengthy. So despite of using the formula, we use functions. What is a function? A function is a pre-written formula that performs specific calculation. I've told you before some of the important functions, which are sum, average, minimum, and maximum. In the previous example, instead of typing the formula which we have typed in this formula bar, we can use the function sum by typing function sum B4 colon F4. Students, despite writing the formula in the formula bar, we can use the sum function to add values from B4 to F4. This is the short form to calculate the sum, because we want to save our time. That's why we use the functions. This gives us the sum of values in the range of the cells from B4 to F4. We can also use this formula in a very large range of cells. If we want a sum of a very large range of cells, we can use the sum function. If we want to add or if we want to take minimum or maximum, if you want to find the average of a given set of values, you can use the average function. If you want to find the minimum of a given set of values, you can use minimum function. Sum, average, minimum, and the maximum, these are the 4 functions which we will use in the functions. So our next topic, moving to the next topic, is using with the previous example, which were the name of the student Ahsan, his English marks. You can write many names of the student, their marks, their total, their average. If you want to find the minimum or the maximum, you can use functions on your own. The function is sum, average, minimum, and maximum. You have to do the practical on page number 68 and 69 by yourself. Now moving to the next topic, which is inserting charts. What do you mean by charts? I've told you before, a chart shows information in the form of a picture. Chart help us to understand the meaning of numbers. So we can use a variety of charts such as graphs, bar chart, and pie charts on our worksheets. Inserting a chart is very easy, let me tell you. You have to go to the Insert tab and choose Charts. Select the type of a chart you want to insert. We have column chart, we have line chart, we have pie chart. You see, we have different options for using a chart. We have bar chart, we have area, scattered, other charts. We have other options of different styles of the charts. You can use charts with the previous example in which you have find the total, the average, minimum, maximum marks of a student, of different students and their different subjects. Now students, this is an example of a total and average function. I've taken a student whose name is Homa, her English marks, her Urdu, math, science, social studies and computer studies marks, her total and her average, and go to the insert tab, choose the chart which you want to add. I've chosen line chart. Alright, and this is the outcome of this whole total and average function. Total, you can say the sum function or the average function. So students, you have learned today about different functions or different tasks performed in spreadsheets: changing row height, changing column width, inserting new rows and columns, using a formula, using function, and inserting charts. Hope that you have learned something new about how to change row height, how to change column width, how to insert rows and new columns, using a formula and using functions. A graph can be used to show how something changes over time. ग्राफ जो है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, तो काइंडली कीप रिमेंबर रखना है आपने इस चीज़ को, इसको मेमोराइज करना है आपने. प्लीज़ रिमेंबर अंटिल द नेक्स्ट लेसन, एंड योर टास्क विल बी द exercise, the questions and the exercise. I will take your test in the next class. Please recall all these concepts very carefully. Fill the blanks, true, false, correct options, answer the following questions. You will have the test in the next lesson. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz and take care.